We now have this breaking news because it is just still got a long tail after President Trump met just about an hour ago with South Korea's president in the Oval Office, generating numerous headlines, both economically and politically. The president suggested a historic summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un could be delayed. He stated flat out he's not pleased with what happened with the China trade talks, calling it merely a start. He also said no deal has been struck with Beijing to lift the ban from U.S. companies selling or allowing China telecom giant ZTE to buy U.S. companies' products, but emphasize the impact on U.S. suppliers isn't good. So listen to this.
It's also a phone company that buys a large portion of its parts that make up these phones that are sold all over the world from American companies. So when you do that, you're really hurting American companies also. So I'm looking at it.
Who are we talking about? This is what we call the ZTE ecosystem. All of these names on your chart that we have, whether it's Acacia, NXP Semi, Oclaro, Skyworks, Lumentum, and, you know, Lumentum, because that's Oclaro, which is being acquired by Lumentum, are all moving higher right now. If there is a possibility that they could open up the gates again and start selling their products, because ZTE buys their products, that would be great for these companies. But the president says no deal yet. He is not backtracking on what is still a security issue with ZTE. Joining us now to discuss it all in a Fox Business exclusive, Raymond James, Washington policy analyst Ed Mills, who worked for years, right, as an advisor on Capitol Hill and specifically on issues of trade. Ed, what do you make of all of these headlines, and pull out the one that you think is most significant from the president?
Yeah, the one thing I always say about Washington, D.C. is it's never as bad as you fear, nor as good as you hope. And I think the press conference we had here is the market was pricing in as good as you hope, that the trade war was on pause, nothing to be concerned about. And then Trump comes out and says, not so fast. We're absolutely going to still be on track to get a deal, but Trump wants to maintain the leverage. I think the biggest headline coming out of here was on ZTE. What he said is that, you know, he's not going to just link it entirely to the trade deal as a quid pro quo here. But what he's going to do is he's going to have a $1.3 billion fine on this company. He's going to require the company to purchase a lot of U.S. equipment, as well as the company's going to have to change their board to release these sanctions. And then China's also going to have to buy a bunch of agriculture goods and natural resources from the United States. That's a pretty good deal.
This is extraordinary. Can you imagine if China didn't like something that a U.S. company were doing and said, all right, before we lift the ban on Chinese companies even dealing with this U.S. company, China telling one of our companies to change their board? I find this extremely extraordinary. China must be down for the count on the ZTE thing, and good for President Trump if he's able to somehow wrestle this out of them. But a significant fine, and then the U.S. telling China, change your management. I mean, if he gets this, that is a big deal, and that is a good thing, is it not?
Well, I think so. The big thing here is that this really started as an enforcement action. ZTE has been a bad actor. They violated U.S. sanctions as it relates to Iran
and
North Korea.
Hid them.
And then he kind of basically put a death sentence on the company as it relates to these sanctions. And that is what actually got Beijing to the table. The Treasury Secretary, the president, they have real powers against companies where China really needs access to U.S. technology. They don't have that access. Those companies have a hard time doing business. Therefore, they come to the table and they say, we're willing to strike a deal here.
Well, Xilinx, for example, programmable chips, Oclaro, 18% of Oclaro's revenue, and they make optical components, comes from China sales. 18%. Acacia fiber optics, 30% of their revenue comes from ZTE buying their fiber optics. Qualcomm's in there, too. Corning, Gorilla Glass, they provide the glass for these phones. So I think that's pretty significant. I want to shift, though, to the auto companies. China also announcing for the first time, at least since I've remembered covering this, that they put an actual date on when they will cut the tariffs from 25% to 15% of U.S. cars coming into China July 1st. Tell me, on the surface, that looks really good, but you know, I was also reading in and seeing that long ago, U.S. companies started their own operations on the ground in China so that they could do an end run around those tariffs. How significant really is this? Can you put a fine point on this?
I think this is a good first step. one thing that I've heard is that once China said they're willing to negotiate, what I heard here in D.C. is that China lies. China's been saying these things for years.
Yes.
China never
Yes.
follows through on this. So to the extent that we have a date in its near term, that is a first step to getting some confidence in the rest of the negotiations to see if the rest of what they're offering will also stick. That's why that's important.
In the end, Ed, I do think that, let's just say President Trump gets nowhere with this, he'll still be at the same starting line as all the other presidents, because as far as we've seen, nothing in the past has worked. If we even get to a cut in tariffs by the Chinese, that is a big deal.
It's astonishing that we're at a talk right now today about cutting tariffs, where kind of even a week ago we were wondering of how many hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs collectively were going to be put on both U.S. and Chinese goods.
Ed Mills, thank you very much. Ed's with Raymond James, but he knows the ins and outs of how trade works on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.